Hey legal team, welcome once again to Fitz in Law School. I'm Fitz, and today we are going to be talking about summer jobs. All right, now summer jobs are extremely important. There's a lot of kind of moving pieces when it comes to summer jobs, but it's pretty basic stuff. So first of all, you're in law school. Okay, law school lasts for 3 years. That means that you essentially have 2 summers where you have to get a summer job. And so essentially what that means is that is a way to not only like help you pay for stuff, but also a way to get valuable experience, to kind of understand what you want to do, to experience the law field if you haven't experienced the law field yet, which in my previous videos I advise you to do. But it also like adds to your resume, and it makes you more attractive to working at a firm or at a company later on. So let's see. Let's start from the end and then move backwards. So essentially, at the end of law school, what you want to do is you want to be able to either work at a company, work at a firm, or work at like a government entity, a regulation entity. Those are essentially your 3 options. That really is kind of your 3 options if you really are like focused on becoming a lawyer. And so because of that, you kind of want to calibrate your summers and your summer experience, and of course your classes and stuff, but your summer experience based on kind of where you see yourself at the end. And the thing is that if you're not quite sure, that's really not that big of a deal. You can adopt certain ideals of what you really, really want in your summer job, and then it all depends on not only how well they fit together, but again, they don't really have to fit that well together. I've talked to a lot of my friends about how exactly, like maybe they don't have the strongest resume, or maybe they are looking for a summer job and they just said, I have no idea because all the stuff that I've done in my resume has just been weird and ad hoc and all that stuff. And so I don't know how to apply it to the job that I want. But ultimately, it's all about spin. It's all about kind of, so I mean, again, if you're in a situation where the experience that you have, like say you have one thing on your resume and the other thing is your undergrad and that's it, and you're trying to get a job at a cool firm or something like that, then make what you learned from that place general. Say, hey, you know, what I learned is I learned dedication. I learned that learning is important. I learned, all this kind of stuff. Because again, at the end of the day, these companies and these firms and all that stuff, they want someone who will be dedicated, who will care about the job, and it will do good work. That is really what they want. If you have background in the thing, in the subject that you might be dealing with in the law, that's great. That's fine. That's usually not required, especially when it comes to your first summer job. That's usually not like a hard requirement. What that is just gravy for the company. So you just kind of want to see where you want to be, at least generally, at the end of your law school career. And then from there, calibrate, your summer jobs based on that. So moving backwards then, your second summer job usually is the time where you go and you actually work at a firm. And then I'd say about 80% of the time at the end of your second summer, that is the firm that you get an offer from. And so that's the firm that you get an offer from, and you kind of like understand that once you graduate, you're going to be working there. Your first summer, which is where I am right now, that's where you have a little bit more freedom, a little bit more flexibility in kind of what you want to do, and you can really kind of explore certain things that are really, really interesting. You can go and work at a random place that has you doing legal work. You really can. And then as long as you apply it to what you want to do afterwards. But again, that's talk, that's putting it on your resume, and that's spin. That's what that is. It doesn't really matter too particularly what you do in your first summer, as long as it's legally applicable. But yeah, so back to my summer job. So I'm working at a mid-tier tech company, and down in Redwood City, and so I have to commute every day, which is not that bad. But I've never commuted before, and so I kind of don't like that. But I'm used to it now. But it's a really, really great company. You get to know a lot of people really well. There's something, I've never worked at a startup before. And so it's not necessarily a startup, but it's a company that's still kind of growing and still kind of trying to find its way throughout the world. And so that's just, that's a new environment that I've been in, and there's lots of like the margins are razor thin. It's different from Google. The largest contract that I ever did at Google is $26 million. And that was me, who had zero law experience and nothing like that. But that just shows the insane amount of threshold for risk that they have. And my company now doesn't have that. And so they just have a different attitude about things. And it's a great amount of experience. And my boss, he's also super privacy focused, which is really, really interesting. And so I'm doing a lot of privacy work now, and just kind of analyzing like the new laws that the United States might enact, but also what the laws that California are enacting. They're slowly, I think that it goes into effect January 20th in 2020. But it's just kind of a interesting way that companies are now slowly trying to get used to and get ready for this new regime of privacy that seems to be coming really hard and really fast. And I think that a lot of companies are probably going to be struggling with this because they don't quite understand or know how to deal with it, which makes complete sense because no one seems to, because this is an unestablished area of law. So it's really fun. It's really interesting. It's full time. It pays really well, and I just enjoying it. Now, on to advice. All right, this is what you're here for. Okay, so I just have 4 bits of advice that I'm going to kind of suss out a little bit as I go into them. But so 4 bits. So first, number 1, start early. Okay, and so what that means is a lot of times, like I remember at the end of my first semester in December, I started thinking about summer jobs, and I started thinking about, okay, like come January 1st, I'm going to start searching, and I'm going to start looking at our careers page and all that stuff. That's kind of what you need to do. That really is what you need to do. A lot of times places actually, they have like some of the bigger tech, like the big tech companies and all that stuff. You're going to want to like look the year or like 6 months before the summer starts, like in January. That really is, because that's usually when their application opens, and they're the big, famous tech companies, Google, Facebook, Amazon, Microsoft, all those things. They get thousands and thousands of applications, and so you would do well to start applying early, but also start searching, start understanding what these places are looking for. Kind of like read, because a lot of times they say the application isn't open yet. However, here's what we're looking for, or here's what we expect from you, or something like that. And so you want to start early. I remember a talk that I went to where it was students at Hastings who were talking about, they were, I think, 2Ls or 3Ls, and they were talking about their experience getting a summer job for their second semester and the first semester. And I always remember one of the students saying, I had an Excel spreadsheet open. It was just a long line of, the company, and then from there was what they want, and then have I applied, and when it's due, and when the application opens, just the whole thing. And he had like 100 different ones, and that's what you do. I definitely applied to, this summer, I applied to 40 places, probably 40 or 50 places. And most of them I didn't hear back from. I really didn't. Not even a no, sorry, like applications closed or something like that. Not just never heard back from them. But yeah, so start early. Number 2, what you want to do is be prepared. Okay, so that means that there's a very good chance that you're going to apply to a bunch of places, and I found that it's really, really easy to be able to have kind of your resume standing by, but then also like a writing sample and a short writing sample, and a few like a cover letter, kind of a sample-ish, kind of like a template that you can just really use for a lot of different things. I essentially Googled, I think it was Yale's cover letter. And it was just their career center, and it was, just open to anyone. And I looked and said, I just kind of researched what they said was like the best kind of cover letter style that you could do. And that's what I used. And I wrote my own cover letter, but then there were a few places that I essentially just like interchanged a lot of things. Like a lot of times it's kind of like, it was just like I was saying, the application process when you're getting into law school. All of them either are blank, and they say, we don't have any writing prompt, just say something, and it's like 10 pages, and just do it. Your cover letter's 1 page, but a lot of times they either ask, why are you good for this company, this firm, this whatever, or just give us a cover letter. That's all we want, just a cover letter. And so, yeah, you don't need to kill yourself with your work. You can work smart, not hard. And so because of that, you can kind of like have the same, like my cover letter was 4 paragraphs long. The first and second paragraph were pretty much set. They were my school experience, my work experience, just talking about myself. And then the third paragraph was talking about why I was right for that company. And so I went and I read about the company. I read what they were into, and then I applied my background to it. And each one of those times, it was just a kind of a customized, separate thing for each one of those companies. And that's important for you to be able to do and be able to recognize how to leverage yourself and your experience. So definitely do that. Number 3, follow your passion. Okay, so following your passion is kind of what I was touching at in the beginning, that this first summer job, you're going to have a lot of freedom. You're not really going to be constrained with saying you have to go to a firm or you have to, it doesn't really plug in or feed directly into after law school. And so because of that, you want to do what you are interested in. And either interested in or something that catches your eye and says, wow, that would be really, really interesting to do. It could be something you've never done, but that's the important thing. The only uniting factor of all summer jobs is that it's somehow, based on the law. It's legal work. Other than that, there's a wide variety. I mean, people work for judges, people work for companies, people work for governments, people work for firms. Tons of people work for private nonprofits. There's tons and tons of work. Tons of people are working for the university. It's just that's just how it is. You have a lot of freedom to do whatever you want your first summer. So make sure to use it. But keep in mind that you are less constrained now than you're going to be in your second summer. So just follow your passion and totally do that. And then number 4 is what I've said 1,000 times in this video. Do not panic, okay? Don't panic. You do not want to panic because it's scary. I know it's scary, all right? There's a ton of people. There's lots of people who are going to be kind of like they're in this regard. They might be like me. They know what they want to do, and that kind of conveys a certain amount of pressure to people that they think that there's something wrong with them because they don't know, they're not just perfectly calibrated to exactly what they're doing, so therefore they turn it on themselves and say something's wrong with me, I should be that, as opposed to, I just haven't quite figured it out yet. So just it's gonna be okay. Don't panic. And the other thing is that if your semester ends and you go and you don't have a job yet, that's perfectly fine. A vast majority of the time, like our semester ended in May, mid-May, and a lot of times places didn't, May, something like that. But a lot of times, like your start date or something doesn't start till like June 1st or like mid-June or something like that. That happens all the time, and so because of that, you just have a lot of time. You have a lot of resources at your disposal. Use your career office. Go and ask for help. All these different things. Leverage the connections that you have. You definitely need to do all those things. And it's not the end of the world. So it's perfectly fine. And there's tons and tons of places who don't post online or something, or don't post their jobs. And so what you want to do in that situation is you get a letter and you type it out and you say, I'm really interested in this, this, and this. It's essentially your cover letter, and add your cover letter and your resume. You put it in an actual envelope and you send it to 10 firms. That's what you do. And they receive real letters so rarely that they'll respond to you, and they'll say, and you end your thing with saying, I'd love to talk to you, or either I'd love to talk to you, or I'm going to call your firm on this date, and I would love to talk to you. So let me know. And that will open up a ton of doors. If you want something, ask for it. You'd be really, really surprised how many times that works. It really does. So I think that next week, or next video, I should stop saying next week, what we're going to talk about is we're probably going to talk about what you can expect with your summer job. Okay, sounds good. See you later, everyone.